They have taken my fingerprints so many times in this country, I can't even count it. I will never be able to commit a crime. Hey friend, my name is Aaliyah and the goal with this channel is to help make all things Mexico sound not so foreign to foreigners. Today's topic is getting a Mexican driver's license, and in this video we'll talk about why you may want to get it, what you need to get it, what's the process look like, as well as how and when you should renew it, as well as some helpful tips and tricks toward the end. Technically you can drive here in Mexico with your home country's driver's license, so why even get it in the first place? 4 major benefits I can think of to getting your Mexican driver's license here is 1, the local discounts. I am all about saving a dollar and saving a dime. Save a dime, save a dollar, save a dime, save a dollar. So a local discount will definitely come in handy. And because even tourists can get driver's license here in Mexico, they could also get local discounts. Number 2 is you can buy and register a car in your name. Although some dealers may not even ask for a driver's license when you're buying a car, and some registration offices may not even ask for your driver's license, but technically it's required for both. So having this driver's license can help you buy and rent a car in your own name here in Mexico. Number 3, for those of you who are residents, carrying around a driver's license as opposed to a resident card can come in handy, especially if you accidentally lose your wallet, because replacing a driver's license is a lot easier and a lot less expensive than replacing a resident card. You can leave the country if you lose a driver's license, but you may not be able to leave the country if you lose your resident card. And number 4, it's better for if you get pulled over. Here in Mexico, when you get pulled over, the cops tend to take your driver's license as a form of security in order for you to pay the fine. And it's a lot better if you get your Mexican driver's license confiscated opposed to your home country's. What will you need to get a driver's license here in Mexico? It varies from state to state, of course, so make sure to check with your particular state, but I'll give you a general overview of what the vast majority of states will require. The first thing is that you be of 18 years of age or older. The next thing is your CURP, C-U-R-P, Clave de Única something 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 Población. I'll put it here on the screen. With this requirement, you'll actually have to bring out a printout of your CURP. And if you don't know how to access and print that printout, feel free to check out a previous video we did on that subject. The next thing you'll need is proof of address. Here in Mexico, it can be a utility bill, a phone bill. Next thing you'll need is your blood type. You can go to any local lab. It costs maybe around 100 pesos or $5 US, and they'll print you out a sheet with your official blood type on it that you can bring in to the office with you. Most driver's license here in Mexico would like to know your blood type, so it's good to have that official documentation. Next, you'll need your birth certificate. Some offices in Mexico will require it and some won't as a proof of your legal age. Next, what you'll need is your previous home country's driver's license, as well as a copy of it front and back. Don't forget the copies. In addition to that, you'll need a valid photo ID, which is in most cases a passport for foreigners. But if you're a Mexican citizen, you can also bring in your INE. For residents of Mexico, you will also need to bring in your resident card, as well as a copy of it front and back. And some offices even ask for a copy of that sticker in your passport that you got at the consulate in step 1 of the residency process. Coming in handy again. But some offices require that and some won't. Also, for those of you who are tourists, the offices that do let you get a driver's license, they will also require a copy of your FMM form. So have that ready. And if you came in and you didn't receive a physical FMM form, check out a previous video we did showing you how to access your digital FMM. And one last thing you can't forget is the payment. They want their shmoney. They actually won't accept any of your documents until you complete the payment first. Some offices will allow you to pay at the office in person, but some will require you to go either to a kiosk or a separate specified location to make the payment ahead of time and bring back the receipt. How much will it cost? Well, the price can vary greatly depending on the state in which you get your local license at. But I can say with a slight amount of confidence that you can expect to pay anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500 pesos for a 2-year license, at least in 2023. These values do change from year to year because it's based on the minimum wage. So if you're watching this in the future, I'll show you here a list of prices for my local office. They don't give much of a discount for the more years you get. You'll notice when you go to pay that there's a section for autos and chauffeurs. Some say that autos are for automatic cars, where chauffeur is for manual or stick, however you call it, or trucks or any other big vehicles. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but if you know, feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. In any case, I always go for autos. And if you're watching this and you're over the age of 60, don't forget to let them know. Most offices will give those who are over the age of 60 a discounted rate. Get your discount. Save a dime, save a dollar, save a dime, save a dollar. So where do you go to get this done at? Well, generally speaking, it's the Tránsito office, and it's most likely in a police station or some kind of shopping center. What each state calls it may be different. Some call it the General de Seguridad y Tránsito o Movilidad, pero if you're getting into a taxi or if you're asking a neighbor, I would just ask them, ¿Dónde está la oficina de tránsito por placas y licencias? They'll understand what you mean. Or you can just go to your local police station and inquire there. They'll for sure understand the assignment, hopefully. So when you find this office, what is the process when you get there? First, as we mentioned before, you'll pay those fees, whatever those fees are for your local area, as well as what the fees are for the amount of time that you want. And I will say, for those of you with temporary residency, they will not allow you to get more years than what your temporary residency allows for. So if your temporary residency is only for 1 year, they will only give you a 1-year license. But if your temporary residency is for 2, 3, 4 years, they will only give you up to that amount. So don't overpay for what they can't give you, because it's a headache trying to get money back. Back to the topic at hand. So first you pay, and then you return and give them all the documents that we mentioned before. Once they approve of all your documents, they'll give you a ticket, and then you'll wait for your number to be called. Once they call your number, you'll go up to the counter, and this is the data entry part before they get your autograph. They'll ask you a series of questions such as, what do you do for work? What is your civil status? Are you married, single, divorced? Are you an organ donor? What is your height? And I believe they'll even ask your email. You'll have to sign a few consent documents. Those consents will be, do you understand the laws? Are all of your information correct? Are you mentally able to drive? Things of that nature, you'll sign those if you agree. They'll take down an emergency contact, so make sure you have a number for an emergency contact. Then they'll get your autograph, take your photo, and get your fingerprints. Most likely just your thumbs and your index finger, but some offices will take all 4 fingers on both hands. They have taken my fingerprints so many times in this country, I can't even count. I will never be able to commit a crime. Good thing I'm not a criminal. Okay, back to the topic at hand. And it's as easy as that. They'll give you a driver's license the same day. They will print it out hot and fresh. You will not have to surrender your previous country's driver's license, nor will you have to go through the arduous process of them having to mail out your driver's license like they do in the States. And I will say that in most cases, if you don't have a home country driver's license, or you don't bring it with you to the appointment, they may have you take a test, a written test, and or a driving test. With the written test, if they do have you take it, it's a series of 10 questions, all in Spanish, of course, but they do sometimes have English translations or have a person available to come to translate the questions for you. And I hear they're pretty easy questions, like if there's a 2-lane highway and a chicken's crossing the road, do you stop or do you drive? Things of that nature. Either way, there's 10 questions, hopefully easy, and you can only get 2 wrong. If you get the 3rd wrong, the test will shut off. You can take the test every day in that 15-day window after you fail, but if you fail up into the 15th day, then you'll have to restart the process all over again and pay again. And as far as the driving test goes, if your state does require that you take a driving test, most times they'll be testing your parallel parking ability, so be ready for that. What is the process to renew? To renew, it's a simpler process. You go to the same location, pay just about the same fees, depending on what the minimum wage is for that year. But this time, you usually have less documents to bring because you proved everything with your first set of license. So everything should hopefully be in the system. You tend to need only 3 things. 1, any of the following documents, whether that be your INE, your military card, a work ID, a valid passport, your birth certificate, especially if you're a Mexican citizen. And if you are a resident of Mexico, make sure you bring in your resident card, as well as a copy, front and back. Number 2, your previous Mexican license, as well as a copy of it, front and back. And number 3, a proof of address not older than 3 months old or 90 days. Some offices say not more than 2 months old, so check with your particular office. And as far as the renewal process goes, make sure to, or at least try to, renew it at least 30 days prior to your expiration date. Because if you let it expire and you get pulled over, the fine is like 13 to 15 times minimum wage for that year. You don't want to be caught paying that fine. Some offices will let you make an appointment, so check with your local office to see if they have a system set up online to make your appointment. But some, and most likely most, won't have appointments. So my advice would be to get to the office early before the long line forms, because trust me, the long line will form. Lines always form in Mexico. But if you want to save yourself the standing in line, you could hire a facilitator. Someone is always willing to stand in line for you or do the things that you don't want to do for a price. Usually facilitators run anywhere between 500 to 1500 pesos to complete the job, depending on your facilitator. But it could be worth it for some if you don't want to stand in the line or if you don't want to continuously get turned around for not having the right paperwork. It also may come in handy if your office doesn't have any available appointments. Somehow when you involve a facilitator, their same day or even next day availability. How that happens, I don't know. I hope that helps. If it does, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Hasta pronto, friends. See you soon. Some call it the segregated, what they call it? Some call it the segregated,